Good boy. Hello? Yes, not too bad. Just getting a little bit of practice, yeah. Yeah, I saw a lot on that YouTube video. Yeah, they're getting better. Piano lessons for you, that's it. All in words. Yeah, see what you think. Alright, see you later. Bye. Hi everybody and welcome to this episode of The Secret to Effective Practice. And thanks to all the new subscribers as well. In this episode we're going to look at a couple of different ideas. The first is an exercise which deals with syncopation, and it's going to help to build that core skill into your playing so that when you encounter it for the first time it's not so much trouble as it can be. Syncopation is the idea of misaligning notes, of taking them from on-beats to off-beats and playing around with that to generate more exciting music. It's been used from the Baroque period right up to the modern day in jazz music. So we're going to see how that core skill can be learnt, and then we're going to have a look at distractions, which you may have seen from the introduction is a big topic for today. Now we all have to deal with distractions in our daily lives as musicians, whether it's in our practice, whether it's in our performance. Distractions can be very difficult to deal with, but we're going to try to find a way today of using them to strengthen resilience in your playing. This will help all of those just beginning their journey with two-handed playing, and also maybe for those performing difficult passages and getting used to working with polyphonic ideas in music as well. So let's have a look at all of that and I'll show you it from the top down. Hope you enjoy the video. So let's dive into today's exercise. We're going to be looking at syncopation. Syncopation is the idea of taking notes on and off the beat with each other and interacting with each other in a new and exciting way. For instance, if we have a passage which is in 4/4, we might be used to hearing 4 beats like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. We might have notes which go with those, and we might have notes which go in between them. But what if we just take the ones in between? Well, those notes in the right hand could be considered the off beats because they are between the beats in the left hand, the main beats in the bar. We tend to count these as ands. Perhaps you're familiar with going 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Then we can think of the off beats sometimes as the and beats, if you like. So let's move forward then and talk about what it is that I'm playing. You can have a range of notes from C to G for your exercise in each hand. If you change those notes, you get a slightly different sound, sometimes maybe playing from A to E, which will give you a more minor sound. Or you can try other combinations. As long as they're 5 apart and you have a note for each finger, then you'll be able to do this exercise. I'm going to start with what I just did there and build up slowly so that we can see the off beats and on beats interacting with each other and build up your coordination. So let's start with a beat in the left hand, which is going to sound like this. And then I'll add the notes in the right hand in time. Notice that I've got one note with the left hand and one note on its own. So we have those on and off beats to start with. What we can do once we've mastered this level of playing is to take the left hand and push it onto the notes which are off the beat in the original version. With the notes I've got from C to G, this will be the Ds and Fs, and it might sound like this. And you can see that the left hand is now playing on the Ds and Fs, and this makes an offbeat pattern. What you can do beyond this then with this pattern is to try and swap the jobs. We're going to take the roll of each hand and pass them across. So the right hand can now do the beats, and the left can start with the more simple pattern. And then perhaps we can try with the offbeats. Beyond this, if you want to try something even harder, you can try swapping the jobs at either end of the pattern, starting with the left hand accompaniment, switching to the right hand accompaniment, and the tune will switch as well. Perhaps like this. And with the offbeats, make any number of different patterns using this idea. But what we must do is give ourselves at least some kind of rules so that we're not just playing it all randomly. Next, we're going to look at how to increase the difficulty and add a different pattern to the melody so that we have a more offbeat feel. And this might seem more similar to a jazzy sound that you've heard before. Have a listen. What I'm doing in this pattern is accelerating the melody so that we get to the second note initially a little bit sooner. This might be well represented in a musical notation as an inverted dotted rhythm, where we have the shorter note first, followed by the longer note second. We can also do this then throughout the pattern. And when it interacts with the other hand, it must stay steady. You could also do this the other way and generate more of a standardized dotted rhythm. Again, you can swap those jobs around and try them in the left, and the other hand will be probably a little bit harder to begin with as we're not used to moving it in that way. As you can hear, I'm also practicing my articulation, my staccatos and my smoother legato playing at the same time, which you can also do if you wish to. A final thought then for this exercise is that you can combine it with any of the previous or next exercises as well. So, for instance, last time we looked at the Hanon 6 exercise. Why not add an accompaniment pattern using the notes that you were playing in the left hand as the range for the new accompaniment? Like it in the offbeat form. Or you could swap those jobs around as well. Or any other number of combinations as before that you can think of. Well, I hope you found that segment useful. Just remember that the more advanced exercises may not work for you just at the moment, and you can always work up to them. They're really only intended as a little bit more difficulty to look forward to in the future. Your warm-ups should not be difficult, but they can be something to have fun with and try out new skills so that you can see when you're ready to move on. So now we reach the distractions part of our tutorial today. First of all, we're going to look at how to use your 2 times table as a distraction technique. So what do we actually need this distraction technique for? Well, primarily I've used this to teach people how to play two-handed scales. Two-handed scales where we need to do this. Now, that may not be something that you're working on right now, but it's a really good example of how it helps. In each hand, for one of these scales, the pattern will be reversed because our hands are the opposite way round to each other. Our right hand is doing a pattern of 3 notes followed by 4, and our left hand is doing a pattern that will often be 5 notes followed by 3 and then 4 by 3. So this is very confusing when we first play it because the thumbs move at different times. The right first, then the left, and the right, etc. So in order to be able to play this, we can't look at either hand in particular, and we certainly can't focus on everything that's going on. The standard technique could be to learn each of the finger pairings and try to think them through. That's not particularly fun, and it's not very good information for our brains. Our brains need pictures and they need to understand movements. They work much better with those types of ideas. So what we can do instead is to strengthen the individual hands by practicing an exercise like this. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14. I'm saying multiples of 2 at a completely different time to when my fingers are going down as a distraction. I'm trying to build up resilience by doing something at the same time as something I can already do. In the left hand, 2, 4, 6. You can even try talking at the same time, perhaps having a conversation with someone and not changing anything about how you play the scale to see just how difficult this is to do. As a teacher, I often spend a long time talking whilst I'm playing, thus I've built up quite a good resilience and strength when I'm doing this activity. You can also do this then with your two-handed scales. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Remember, the idea is to say them at intervals which are not related to what you're playing to create the best distraction environment. If you find yourself going 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, this is not particularly distracting as it could be because you're doing it in time. So try to make sure that you don't end up at too high a number. You should only reach maybe 10 or 14, something like this, by the end of your 2-octave scale. Beyond this, a more practical use perhaps might be to use it when you're learning a piece of music and you've reached the stage where you can play each individual hand very well, but when you put it together, no matter as slowly as you might go, it's still very tricky to put the piece in order. Perhaps you can already play this. Which is part of a jig by Telemann. The right hand and the left hand feature many of the same passages. Put them together and find this happening. You can hear that although I'm going very slowly, the tempo wavers a lot and we find ourselves looking down at the notes, trying to figure out where everything is. And this indicates that I'm weak in terms of understanding where things are subconsciously, because I'm used to having the benefit of being able to look and concentrate on each individual hand. So what I might do is use my distraction technique as an additional learning method. I could do this. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14. Although some of my numbers may end up on a note, as there are a lot of them, you should in general try to do what we were doing before and say them at irregular intervals to strengthen your hand. You could do this then using any number of multiples if you wish, 3, 4, 5, depends how much difficulty you want. Then when you put your hands together, perhaps you'll find things a little bit easier as you're not having the benefit all the time of that full concentration on each hand. Some final thoughts for a distraction idea. Perhaps you could get a friend to ask you some simple maths questions, such as 1 plus 3, 2 plus 4. Or you could do some alphabet games. What's 2 letters after A? What's 3 letters after D? Etc. You can also try making a YouTube video and explaining how to create distraction ideas whilst playing a piece of music. Any of these things will work and help strengthen and make you more resilient when you're playing with 2 hands. Well, thanks for watching the video. I hope it's taught you something new and useful. If you have enjoyed this video, please give it a like below, and if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel for more videos like this. Thanks again, and enjoy your journey. Some final ideas for distractions might be: get a friend to ask you, I can't do it.